to the stage.
There we go. Boom. Again, this is Christopher Rosa with Junk Doctors NJ, representing entrepreneurs and small business owners of New Jersey. Junk Doctors NJ is a sponsor of this podcast. And today we have a very great guest named Brianna Brunner. She is a couple therapist. And I'm going to introduce you.
Sure.
And my name is Christopher Rosa, and this is Brianna. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Thank you for coming up to our second show on our second season. This is very interesting. First time ever having somebody that deals with couples, and I'm sure that's a big thing. I don't know, as far as what you see, but I'm sure you see a lot of different varieties of different things that you do. So what got you into couple therapy?
So I started my couples therapy practice in 2013. My therapy career started out with a therapy called dialectical behavior therapy, and it's really an amazing treatment that helps people regulate emotions. And when I started doing DBT, I found DBT for couples, and I started learning about it, and I just absolutely loved it. And I love working with couples. And 2 years ago, I expanded and started a group practice. And my group practice, we have a location in Princeton and Manalapan, and we offer virtual throughout New Jersey, and we primarily just see couples at our practice.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And how long have you been doing this?
Since 2013.
Wow. And how do you like it?
I love it. I love it. I love couples, really, really passionate about it. We use all evidence-based treatments, which there's a lot of research supporting the methods we use to help couples improve their relationship. So we see a lot of success.
Is your career, is it more statistical where you see people using you as the last resort before breaking up? Or is it, do you see more of that? Or is it more people that are married and or is it on the same course as just people that are seeing each other and not married?
That's a great question. My team and I discuss this all the time, where we feel like couples come to us too late. We wish everyone would come earlier instead of when they're on like the brink of divorce. However, we do see a lot of couples who also just want skill building. They want to improve their communication and in all different areas of life. So we see a lot of couples after they have children. 2/3 of couples report being unhappy after they have kids, which is a gigantic amount. So we see a lot of couples after they have kids.
They have kids, they start declining in their relationship.
Yep. So we see those couples. We see empty nesters who like their kids grew up. We see premarital.
Now, what's an empty nester? I would just like to know what that means. That sounds like a terminology.
Yeah, so it's just a couple whose kids are grown and they left the house. So
that's great.
Yes, so they're married and they've been married for a long time.
You would think the marriage would get better.
But then it's like after having kids and all the chaos ends and moves on.
That's awesome.
Like, I don't know what to do anymore.
No, I know what to do. Enjoy it.
Do you have kids?
I have 2 children, and I am counting the days till they go to college, and we can have an empty nester.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm part of that realm of parents. I'm 44.
Yeah.
I had one of my children at a early age at 27, and I said I will not have no more after this.
Yeah.
And my wife said, "Yeah, me either." And we were young. We started our careers. Plus, we had a young child, but it was great. We loved him. We named him D'Angelo, meaning the angel,
so nice.
Not knowing that he would be the opposite. But he's a great kid. He just was very hyperactive, and it was good because we were young. Yeah. So we could keep up with him before we had our surgeries and, stuff when you get older. But then later on, I had a second one, and I said, I thought we agreed on this. So we came up with some type of weird, like contractual verbal agreement that I said, listen, I'm not getting up to do Pampers, but I'll take them to school. I'll do this. Yeah. So we all made like our list of things that we'll do. I don't want to do nothing but poop. Yeah. Because I was a stay-at-home dad for the year on the first one, and my wife worked. Wow. And I dealt with poop on a regular basis, explosive poop, soft, hard poop on floor. So I was like, I'm done with that. and it worked out really well. We both worked, but yeah, I want my kids. You know why? I believe also, and I'm not um like an old fashioned type of thinker. I'm not a real. Like I would say moderate. I feel like a lot of empty nesters when they have sons, they are more they feel probably more well with men. I would say on myself, they would feel more confident. Like I have a son, he'll make it out there. With daughters, I have excuse me, I have family members that have daughters, and it's so hard for them to say leave the house or so I don't know what that's about, you know, but I know I have two sons, so I don't know, does that play a role?
Yeah, I'm sure. I feel like with and I have two girls actually, 4 and 6. So I feel like with girls, you know, you feel maybe like you need to protect them more or something. I don't know. They also like they always want to take care of you. I feel like as you get older, at least I see in myself, like with my parents, I always want to take care of them and make sure they're okay. Maybe it's just different. Whereas men, you feel like, or boys, they're, I don't know, but I'm trying to raise strong women. So,
yeah, that's great.
You know, and
independent, strong women. That's what I want to see too. Like, but I have nieces, I have a ton, and they are very independent. And I have one niece that goes to college, has a job. I have multiple nieces actually that do jobs in school, and they're very independent. Yeah, I mean, I hope that you know, I grew up in the 80s and 90s. I think my generation, we were like the last to come out of having less digital capabilities than we have today. And the capabilities digitally that we're confronted with and are able to use is amazing. And we're right now in a technology revolution. People don't even know it. There's large language models that are doing things that are just mind blowing. And we utilize it for things that can help us engage with customers and help us, you know, because we're a small company. We're not a franchise. And just to give you a backdrop on how we came up with Junk Doctors and Jay's podcast, I went to a podcast. They charged me like $500 or a little bit less. And it was in his home. And the equipment, this equipment was from B&H in Manhattan, very expensive. And this equipment, this person had, and I'm not going to mention his name, it was just like really bad equipment. So I paid the money, and I seen the show on TV, on this YouTube and on social media. Shows you how old I am on TV, you know. But I said, what a low quality, and you're charging people. Why not start a group? Only New Jersey. We're not a franchise. We boast the biggest dump trucks in New Jersey because junk removal companies charge by value. So if you look at all the other junk companies, they all have 15 cubic yard trucks, and by the state of New Jersey, you have to put the size of your dumpster on the side of your truck on a driver door, so people see that they offer more room because we only charge by volume. You get labor, dumping fees, everything is allocated into that price, and we're very honest. And it took a long time, honesty. And since you're a couple therapist, tell me something. Doesn't honesty go a long way?
Oh, absolutely.
So for a company like us, being honest, I mean, people have taken advantage of our honesty because they took it as kindness. So they're like, hey, could you just take this extra piece and just call it $200? And I'm like, well, man, this is very heavy, and we have to pay. We pay the landfill fees, and we don't charge you for that. And it's just by volume. This will be an extra $50, and they would get super mad, and we would give in. And it's like, you know, what would you do about something like that? Because you could help us. Like, how do I confront a customer in a way? And you could use your therapeutic abilities and tell me, how do I say no?
I feel like it's really hard. I think it's important to set limits and like have your limits in place, and also be flexible, but also set those limits, and also broken record people, which just means like repeating the same thing over and over. So like if you balance validation with like, I hear what you're saying, I really get it, it's really hard for you, and this is our policy, these are our limits, like you might have to do that a bunch of times to really set that limit, which is really hard to do because I'm with you. Like I'm a kind person too, and I feel like maybe too generous at times. And I need to have that limit of, no, this is our policy. Because like similar to what you're saying, like we have cancellation fees. It's really hard to like set that.
That's hard because other people could have had that.
Yeah.
You know, and we use our own software for that.
Right.
And I'm only bragging about that because John is here and he does computer coding, and John is back here. And, you know, being a business entrepreneur myself, I did this for other entrepreneurs. Everybody that's out there, the 55,000 people that can possibly see this video, or the thousands of people that will see this video most likely sooner or later. Remember, this is yours. This podcast, you just call us up, and that could be somebody making an appointment for a podcast now, or you could go through our internet. However, this is ours. This is for us.
Yeah.
This is how we get together.
Yeah.
I can send people to you. I have a lot of people that are in the process of moving out of their homes because they're divorcing or they're going through something. Hey, why don't you speak to a person that I know? I could do that. That's what we do. That's what we do here. Or you use our podcast or our group and you market with other people that can help. Somebody that's in your realm but doesn't do exactly what you do, but could help, like a social worker that works on something like substance abuse maybe, and then they have a person that needs help with their therapy. Now, are you private or do you work for a company?
So I own the business, but we are private as far as if we don't accept insurance. We do try and work with clients who have out of network benefits, and we'll submit for them. Or
you just don't take private insurance,
right? We don't take private insurance.
Oh, okay. Okay, but this is private. This is yours.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. Did you start off like yours, or did you work underneath somebody?
Well, while I was getting my license, I worked for an intensive outpatient
that's
program.
What I want to ask you about.
Yeah. And then after that, I worked for another practice. We were all in our own practice, but we worked together because of the kind of therapy we did. We had to be on this team. And I did that for a long time, and I loved it. And that practice is amazing.
Have you seen relationships that you saved and you know it was because of you, because you offered the advice?
I always say it's the clients who do the work because, you know, we're meeting an hour a week. It's really all about doing your homework and making sure that you're using the skills that we're teaching. But I like to, you know, I like to say I help facilitate that. And yes, I have seen a lot of couples make tremendous amounts of progress, and it's an amazing thing to witness. And I always say I'm in it for the kids because a lot of these couples have kids. And you can see how fighting affects children, like when the parents are fighting, and it prevents them from being able to self-soothe and regulate their emotions. So I really like to help couples and provide that. So we see a lot of couples after.
You're 100% right.
Oh my gosh.
We're a product of our environment. If your kids listen to you cursing all the time, they're gonna curse. If your kids see you doing any activities, they're gonna eventually pick up on those activities also. So you have to set an example, or you know, suffer the consequences. So it is. Kids are a huge responsibility, and I like that you brought that up because you're 100% right about that.
Thank you.
And you know, luckily there's people like you out there that can, you know, rectify these situations before it gets too late. Do you work with the state also?
No, we don't.
Really?
Yeah, we just no, we don't. We do private pay couples therapy. And you know, we do that because one, working with insurance is
sometimes
extremely
it's difficult.
And for couples, for some reason, they don't reimburse well at all. So we are private pay, but
I noticed that in America, you know, we have a huge mental situation. People need more mental health. If you look at the jail systems and all our institutions, I have friends that are in corrections, police officers, and they even say, like, this is not a jail, this is like a psychological like ward or something. And the people that are in here have either substance abuse issues or mental health issues, and they're just utilizing jails as places to put people with mental health issues. And then I also noticed, because I worked in Philadelphia, like on Kensington Avenue, I had to drive through there, and that whole entire area. I mean, there was so much abuse and people suffering with substance abuse and mental health. I mean, we see it all the time. And my question is this: why is it so hard? Because I asked somebody, like a doctor, I'll say, why is it so hard for people to find mental health help, like on like insurance, and why is it so far, like months and months away? By that time, that person,
right, like the wait list and stuff.
Yeah, what's going on?
It's hard. I mean, I think after COVID, also like there's just this like outpour of everyone needing help.
Really?
Yeah, I just think it affected everyone so much, and
yeah, it did. It definitely affect people.
Oh yeah, and I think now, which is a beautiful thing, is mental health and mental health awareness is becoming more and more popular, and everyone's getting behind it, and everyone wants to work on their psychological stuff, which hasn't happened in the past.
Well, yeah,
which is great because we're changing the world, you know, and I think we're really changing the world with that, and it's great.
It's complex though.
It is
because you have to also introduce, like, okay, some cultures, like for men, you're not allowed to show any emotion. So you have to take that, like, I'm Sicilian and Puerto Rican, and my family, men, you just take the mental whatever, and you take it and you put it down. You don't say nothing, you know. You just yell at each other, you know. And that's what we used to do at the dinner table. It used to be a yelling match. So, you know, and that's how that was just normal, like, pass me the bread, and, you know, like, just. But I understand. I'm not like that at all. I used to hate dinner time at my Italian house sometimes when we used to sit down, because it was always arguing. And but
I feel like for men it is tough.
It is tough.
Men aren't taught to feel
anything.
So we talk a lot about primary emotions and secondary emotions. So primary emotion is what you feel like immediately biologically, and then a secondary emotion is a reaction to the primary. And the secondary emotion is almost always anger. Especially I see with men a lot. So like the primary emotion might be like sadness or fear or anxiety. And then the anger is secondary. So men are taught, just ignore that, stuff it in, feel the secondary, the anger, when like they're just ignoring all their other emotions. And especially for men after they have kids, that's another thing. It's not talked about a lot. But postpartum for men, postpartum depression for men, postpartum anxiety for men.
I have postpartum anxiety.
A lot of men have that. I've
never had anxiety until I had kids. And it happened to me at 35 years old, and I called the ambulance because I thought I was having a heart attack. So I was watching The Walking Dead and eating.
Oh my gosh, that's
I was eating not potato chip, a chocolate cookie. So I ate it, and also I felt my heart go boom. So I was like, okay. And then it just started racing. And I was like, what's going on? So I got up. I felt like very anxious and very like intense. And I was like, am I having a heart attack? You know, and I wasn't out of shape or anything. I was in like very good shape. And my wife, she was like, I'm calling the ambulance because you definitely, you look white and you're sweating. And I was like pouring sweat. So the ambulance, the guy said, listen, I've been through what you've been through. And I said, oh, okay. So what is it? He goes, you drank too much caffeine.
Ooh.
I was like, oh, I did. I drank a bunch of soda. You're right. And then it kept on happening. And I just kept on ignoring it. But just, you know, but yeah, I mean, I learned
how to that point, things make you more vulnerable and get in the way of you being able to regulate emotions. So if you have too much caffeine, if you drink the night before and then you're hungover, if you're not taking medication, if you're not exercising, if you're not eating, if you're eating too much, like all of these things get in the way of being able to regulate emotions, which is why probably in that moment you panic, like, and with the kids and all.
Well, I blame my son because I worry about my kids. You know, that's what I started worrying about. I was like, wait, oh my God, what is it if this happens or this happens? So I started finding myself thinking of every angle of what can happen, right? So as a parent, you think like that. You think, you know, you're in control. You're not gonna let this happen and that, and then it does become overwhelming, and then you have to provide income. So yeah, we all go through it. So you deal with people that go through these type of emotions.
Oh yeah. I mean, everybody does. I'm human too, you know, like I have kids, like you go through stress and the pressure, and it's scary and it's a lot, and for sure. And it's, if you don't know about any of this, it's even harder because then it's scarier, like with what you went through, because you didn't know.
Definitely.
I didn't know.
Had no
And
clue.
panic attacks have real physiological symptoms.
Yes.
Sweating, heart racing, you're turning red. Like all of that is real.
It does manifest into symptoms.
Oh yeah.
I definitely helped other people, and I didn't have it as bad as other people did. Mine would come and go quickly. I had some intense ones, but I knew what they were.
Right.
I used to go numb sometimes, but it is what it is. And I started learning more about it. I didn't get medicated because there's not too much medication that you can take that's not addictive.
Right.
Sure. I did breathing, exercising, and just dealt with it. I did what helps me is reading, walking.
Sure.
So that's it. Yeah. Walking, running, and working out. That's the only thing that really helps. And reading. But I picked up a family member, and she was screaming like someone was killing her. Oh First time she had a panic attack because she took an Adderall that her doctor prescribed her because she had ADHD.
Wow.
And she wanted to concentrate. And I think that stimulant triggered a panic attack. And so I picked her up, we talked to her, but people deal millions. I mean, I didn't notice millions and millions of people deal with mental health issues.
Oh yeah.
And it's not just anxiety. I think schizophrenia.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know. There's so many
depression. It's so many things. And relationships too. I feel like, and this is why I love working with couples, is because relationships are the most human thing that any of us go through. We all know what it's like to be in a relationship. Well, most of us, right? You're in a relationship, you feel pain, breakups, all of that. It's really, really human. And it's really important that we work on relationships because they're a huge part of our lives. And especially after having kids too. But yeah, and mental health is really important.
Where are you located?
We have an office in Manalapan and Princeton, and we offer a virtual throughout New Jersey.
That's great. Yeah, the virtual is awesome.
Yeah, a lot of people want to do virtual, especially after having kids, because they'll do a session when their children are napping or when the kids go to bed.
That's great.
Yeah, so it's great. Accessible. Yeah,
that's great this year that you do that. Do you charge by session? Do you do year like packages? Or really?
We charge per session. I'm looking into that in the future, like doing some type of membership program. In the next couple of months, we're starting a 7-week series called the Survival Sessions to help couples survive after they have kids or while they're expecting. Yes. Because when I was pregnant with my first, any class that you told me to do, I was like, I'm on it, right? Like how to take care of the baby, how to change a diaper, all of that. So we want to help couples learn how to survive before having kids, which, no one talks about. No one talks about. Your doctor isn't like, hey, you have a baby and your relationship's going to struggle. No one. And it's important. It's huge. And that's why 2/3 of couples report being unhappy. That's like 67%, 70%.
Yeah. I mean, I could say that the second child, I wasn't as enthusiastic as she won. Yeah. But I said, I was like, you agreed to this. Like you agreed, like the second one, because I was timing my whole life around my son turning 18, going to wherever he was going. So I said, you're either going to the Marines, you're going to college, you're doing something, you're getting out of here.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to make sure that you are going to be independent. I am not your provider. I'm your advisor now. Yeah. So, he still wants to stay in the baby ages, but it's not going to happen. No. But I still understand 18 is still young. The frontal lobe hasn't developed.
Oh my gosh.
It's also on the back, and in the front is the most thing that controls emotions. He wrestled since he was young. So, I don't think he had any brain injuries at all. I haven't seen any major hits, but he did suffer a traumatic injury on his arm where he broke his arm. So, we gotta, take that into consideration if that is traumatic. I don't know. I see the problem with my situation. I don't know. I grew up in a era where if you cried, you would get hit for that. Yeah, like you would be like yelled for that. Like, why are you crying? Like, I grew up in a really strong Italian household, Staten Island, New York, where my Uncle Tony was very rough. He didn't graduate high school, but he was a master carpenter, worked for Longshoremen's Union. My father was a Vietnam vet.
Wow.
And these are men that didn't talk about feelings
Mm-mm.
and, anything like that. So my mother passed away as a young child, so I didn't have that element of sensitivity put into my personality. So I was raised mostly by men with this, I guess, macho
Yeah.
attitude. But we don't cry. You don't take. Oh, you don't. No pain or this and that. You get through it. I don't know if that's the way to do it. But sometimes I feel like I've read like idioms or theology where it says, hard times breed hard men, but soft times breed soft men. So I don't know what that means.
No, that's really hard and a lot. And men feel emotions too.
Yeah.
I mean, men are human and men feel emotions, and it's important that we talk about that.
Yeah.
And I think even like with after having kids, like men especially, like, and I think for women too, like postpartum, all of this is coming out now, right? It's more important now. We're talking about it now. There's a lot of foundations that are making it.
Is postpartum affects a chemical like serotonin?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I feel like for women now it's out there more and more and more every day.
Wow.
But for men, they're kind of behind it. But men feel these emotions too.
Yeah.
Like you
it's a
just gave a
vibe.
great example, right?
Yeah.
Like of course.
Yeah. That's
course
why I think it's important to have like a date night,
yeah.
or have something sometime. But
Yeah.
it is hard. It is mentally challenging. I don't know, I mean, I think it's part of life. We are living in a society where everything's instant gratification.
That's true.
So, it's how you raise your child. And you know what I notice also? There's more people involved in raising your kid than just you.
Oh, for sure.
More people are getting involved that shouldn't even be in your business, but society is going in that direction where people can, oh, don't say that to your child, you can't do this. And I don't know, I don't know what to think of that. Like, I take people's advice, but I can only do what I could do best, and guide my children the best way.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but I do notice that things are very fast, instant, and we need people to talk to. I think people definitely need someone to get their emotions off.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I mean, I think kids are really influenced. They're influenced by so many things.
Who do you see bring in people into your group? Is it more the women suggesting let's do the couples therapy? I mean, I have a feeling that men don't say, you know what, we should do couples therapy. Like, I'm sure there are men that say that, but in my perspective, in my mind, I can't see myself saying to my well, I'm married now, but my girlfriend back in the day, like, you know what, let's do some therapy, couples therapy before we try to break up and see how that works. I feel women are more engaged to say that. I don't want to sound sexist or anything. I don't see myself saying that.
You would be surprised. It's probably 50-50.
No way.
Oh, yeah. Well, and there was a time where it was more men calling.
Really?
Yeah, I would say now it's like balanced out a little, but we get a lot of men.
Wait a second. Totally. I got a question here.
Yeah.
Was it men? Because I know a lot of men do this. They cheat on their wives or girlfriends and they go, wait, we'll do therapy. Yeah. We'll do therapy. Now, tell me, do you get a lot of those?
We see a lot of infidelity sometimes. Because
they use that as an excuse, because the wife will say, oh, he's willing to get help for his sexual problem. Because I'm a man. I never cheated on my wife once. I've been with her 18 years. But I know people that have. Sure. I used to cheat on my girlfriends all the time when I was young. I used to say that when I was a kid. I was a teenager. I was manipulative. Mm-hmm. Oh, we'll go talk to the priest or something, or make up anything, like, and I feel like, does men do that mostly?
You'd be surprised. It's women too. Oh yeah. Oh
Yeah.
There's this one researcher, I forgot her name, but she did this whole research study on women and monogamy.
Really?
And how women tend to not want to be monogamous as much.
This is interesting.
But we do see both, and we do see infidelity, and yes, usually out of desperation. But sometimes we see infidelity, and it really comes from a problem in the relationship. And when the couple works on the infidelity and the couple works through it, they actually come out stronger and on the other side.
Yeah, I wanted to get out of here. Okay, there we go. Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah,
that
so
is amazing.
We do see them come out the other side.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy. I thought men were, because I hear that all the time. So you've been doing this for over 12 years, and you really love what you do.
Yeah.
Are you working every day doing this, or do you get tired of it sometimes, hearing people's problems? You have to take a break.
Yeah, I mean, I think burnout's a real thing. We try, at least in my practice, to limit the caseload so therapists don't get burnt out. I don't see as many couples as I used to, just because I'm running the practice right now. So I have a lot of other jobs. But yes, there's burnouts real, and we try really hard to be effective. And it's also all about the couple. The couple has to do the homework. They have to take it seriously. They have to want to get better, improve. Commitment's really important. Commitment to the relationship, commitment to therapy, commitment to showing up, all of that.
Is this just New Jersey, or are you located out of Jersey?
Right now, just New Jersey.
Really?
Yes. Yep.
Wow. Are you looking to expand?
I'd like to, maybe one day.
Really?
Right now.
You're happy with
Yeah, we actually just moved in Princeton to a bigger office.
Yeah, I like Princeton. It's really
it's
nice.
So great. It's the best.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, so we're looking to grow that more, and add some other other programs, like couples after they have kids and things like that.
You really are mentioning, it sounds like you are very you mentioned kids. It sounds like that's a very big thing in relationships. It sounds like a lot of your clients do have kids, and kids do affect their relationships. And I'll use my example. Before kids, fun time, let's go out, drink, party. And when we party, we sleep all day, we don't have kids to wake us up. No, we don't do that. I mean, unless we have babysitters and we could go to the city or Vegas.
Right, totally.
Last time I went to Vegas, I won't go again because I came home with a concussion, but that's a whole nother story because I slipped down some stairs. But that was because of my over drinking that night. But I'm not young no more, but when you have kids, you have to change your whole lifestyle. Yeah. And I forgot what I was going to say, but you're 100% right. Kids, and I think a lot of couples, before they have children, they do have different feelings for each other until the kids come in. Right. You know what I noticed? I noticed that when you have kids, it should be 50-50. It shouldn't be left on your wife to go change the diaper. Right. So I did do that. I said, okay, I'll do the diapers tonight. You do the diapers the next night. I was not that type of person that, was like, you do it. You do everything. Yeah. I really was into, I even stayed at home for a whole year. And my wife wanted to stay with her career when I had other aspirations of doing other things. Yeah. And I was like, all right, I'll stay home and I'll do this for a year. Never had a baby before, and then I turned around and she was gone. I was like, wait, you're not gonna tell me how to change the diaper? Yeah. But I figured everything out, and it came very natural because I had nieces before, and I had to take care of them too when they were babies. So once I was like, oh wait, I've done this before. So I got into feeding him correctly, and it was a joyous year of taking care of him. But I wanted to get back to work and start providing. I don't know if men feel like they want to provide, they got to be the provider, but I definitely don't. I wanted to work. I didn't want to stay home and be a house dad.
It's a tough job.
It's a very tough job. And I believe 50-50. I don't want to see somebody have to, do everything. That's ridiculous. I know men like that. Like my wife takes care of everything. I bring home the bacon. I'm like, well, she has a job too, right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but I still bring home more bacon. Like, I don't know what that means. I'm just like, nah, man. Like, I don't know. Maybe.
You know what? And for me, like after having kids, like I had my practice for a long time, and then, after I had children, my practice really grew even more than it did before kids. So like I've always been an entrepreneur. It's just been like in my blood. Like I can't stop it. My dad's an entrepreneur. My mom was an entrepreneur. And I just always wanted that. So when I had kids, and it was COVID, it was like a weird time.
Yes,
I was
can
just
relate.
doing a little bit of therapy like once a week. And then after COVID, we just got so busy. We kept getting so many referrals that I was like, I'm either going to do something about this or I'm not. And I just took the leap and started this group practice, and here we are. So,
have you ever thought about doing a podcast?
Sure.
I think you should. Maybe, for couples therapy. I would definitely, and cool maybe idea. Some couples
this is really cool what you have.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna be moving out of here, and we're gonna this is a big location, and we want to just consolidate. We don't want the location anymore. It was fun. We've been here for years, but we want to consolidate now. Like you said, after COVID, we could work from our computers.
Yeah,
there's so much technology that I could talk for hours about the new technology. Yeah. I don't know if you know about like the chat GPTs and everything like that.
A little bit.
Well,
not
there
enough.
are some amazing things that I mean, we both, John, I would say is an expert in computer coding and engineering.
That's very cool.
He's modest, but he definitely has taught me things that on the computer. But yeah, here at Junk Doctors, we have a great vibe. We push objectives, like work hard and you get more. And I think like even with couples therapy, everything is a therapy, I guess. And therapeutic, I mean, what I dislike? Miscommunication. The miscommunication messes up everything.
It happens
and that probably happens a lot in couples therapy.
And then when there's miscommunication, there's judgment, and then the judgment turns to anger, and then it gets in your head, and then you're judging, your partner, but also like as a business owner too. So I have, there's 7 of us, 7 therapists, and my practice manager, Katie, she's amazing. And I have like the best team ever, and I love them so much. And we've worked really hard to like make sure we're communicating.
And what's the name of your company?
Couples Therapy Services.
Couples Therapy Services, located
Manalapan and Princeton. Yeah, and we offer virtual also. But yeah, I mean, really like communication's huge. And something that's really important to me that I try and think about a lot is people's behavior makes sense to them or they wouldn't do it. So instead of judging it, trying to understand it. So
understand the therapy.
Understand the behavior of the person. So especially with your partner, like their behavior makes sense to them. Otherwise they wouldn't do it. Whatever that behavior is.
I feel like people that go to therapy, like they must really still love each other, because just to waste time and money to go see a therapist, I mean, they still want to hold on.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I see, I don't see anymore, but as growing up, you would see reality shows about therapists, and you would see, or I would hear about like, I know people that actually, even said like, oh, I got into my wife and, I don't know what to do. I want her back, and first response men say are like, go get a therapist. Why don't you go see a therapist when you're done? Or, set up your priest and something like that. Like, because, in some cultures, they would say like, we'll get a priest and he'll sit down and, we'll do a therapy or something. I've heard that and I've seen that growing up. And I don't know. I just, people, I don't know. I don't believe once you cheat on somebody, I don't know how people could get back together. That must be a difficult one.
Yeah. It's tough. but we've seen couples
get
come
back
out the other
together.
side. Well, because a lot of times, not always, but a lot of times, infidelity is really a symptom of other problems that are going on.
Yeah.
So if you can get past that, which is hard for both partners,
sure.
If you can really move past that, you can see a lot of progress. And sometimes a couple comes out of that closer and stronger. We've seen that too. Yeah.
Sure. I mean, I'm shocked because I couldn't do it, because every little thing I would blame that. Like, I know how I am.
Yeah.
And I don't think I would stay with the person if they cheated on me. I mean, trust is like the biggest thing that I believe in.
Yeah.
And I don't know how anybody could cheat on somebody and be like, you know what, I'll give them another chance.
Well, because sometimes it's like the bigger picture, you know?
I get it.
Like if they have kids and they have this life.
Well, they got kids.
And it depends on the infidelity too,
but
right?
You're saying like they got kids, so you're gonna pretty much stay with them because of kids.
Well, no, but it depends too. Like, was it like a one-time incident? Was this going on for years? You know, you're just like, no way. But it really depends. In my experience, I have seen couples change their relationship for the better.
Wow.
It's tough though. It takes a lot of work. A lot of work. But it's possible.
That is
it's usually there's usually something going on in the relationship.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
There are other things, right? Like sex addiction, whatever, like that can like come into play. But I would say that oftentimes it's there's something going on.
Maybe one of the participants in a relationship might have a different job, that he goes away or she goes away for days.
Sure.
I mean, I've heard it all. You know, I would be devastated. I would be like, "What, you cheated on me? Like, really?" And I stayed freaking faithful 18 years. And you know how many chances? I was 27 years old. And I don't regret any of the years I was with my wife or anything, but you know, I was very young. So I would be very I mean, I would like, not remorseful. I mean, I would be very like, I don't know, angry, but totally disappointed, you know, like, I don't know how it would feel, but it would be like disloyalment, like, and I don't know if that would be able to patch that up.
Right.
But it's good that some people can do that. You know, that's amazing.
Yeah,
you know?
It really is. It's amazing and it's tough.
I can imagine. I can't imagine. So you're also married, correct?
Yes.
And you have
10 years.
10 years?
Yeah.
And you have 2 children?
Yes.
And are they still young?
4 and 6.
Oh, okay. That's a good. I have a 7-year-old and I have a 16-year-old. So yeah, they're about 10 years apart, and totally different. But yeah, I mean, kids are kids. Yeah. And do you ever utilize your therapies
for my kids?
Enough for your marriage?
Oh yeah. I mean, I think my husband's the expert.
Really?
Yeah, like he's amazing, and I've taught him a lot of things, and he's more effective than me sometimes. I'll say that.
No way.
Oh yeah, he's so great, and he's like, he understands emotions, and we have girls, so like it's even more important. So he, you know, will get on the floor with them and teach them about like validation and how to calm down, and he's so cute. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
And how do you typically find couples? Do they come finding you online, word of mouth, stuff like in that nature?
Yeah, so all of that, a lot of therapists refer to us, also who do like regular, like other kinds of therapy, because we just do couples. So if they're seeing an individual for like anxiety, but their marriage is struggling, like they'll refer to us. We just started doing social media, like, I don't know, 6 months ago.
Cool. I hope that break does really well, because I believe what I'm seeing, I believe that you're going to do very well on social media.
Thank you.
I think, well, don't think say I'm ultimate.
Yeah, right.
All these other
I'm trying. It's not my
all
thing.
These big, there's these massive technology companies that are creating ways for you to implement your business in a virtual setting, and it's much more easier to connect with people, and it's more private, and you're gonna see things that in the next 3 years that we've never. Everything's gonna be implemented with AI. Everything is gonna be very different. I mean, you see it today.
Oh yeah.
you know, what's going on. I mean, I'm sure you heard of OpenAI and AI already.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
if you even called like on our website, I don't know if we have it on yet. We might have it on, but we have an AI. Yeah, we do have it on actually. You can go on our website. We have an AI assistant that picks up the phone, and people think it's a human.
Wow.
And then we tell them, you know, if you want to speak to a regular person, you know, we give them a chance because
Sure.
we're a small company. So we have a certain amount of trucks, a certain amount of people, and we want everybody. We want to be as, you know, you consolidate and be as resourceful. And
Sure.
being resourceful and being efficient means better pricing for the customer.
Yeah.
There's companies that don't even care, you know, they're
No.
just being so wasteful and then they just pass it on to the customer. We're able to lower overhead and pass it off to the customer and keep on receiving customers. We a lot of junk removal companies. We're sanitation. We have the same licensing as the sanitation companies that pick up your garbage in front of your home. And but we're if you think about New Jersey, think about what do they offer you to throw out garbage. You usually have some towns that have bulk night. That's on a specific appointment. You have the garbage men that pick up your garbage in front of your house, and you can only throw out so much. So what happens when you have a ton of stuff in the house and you have to, you don't have a big truck, you don't have anything.
Just happened to me recently. I didn't know you existed.
Yeah.
But I hired a junk company because we had like a lot of.
How did you like the work?
They were great, but I had to call like 5 different companies to like really find someone who was honest.
Really?
And, yeah.
I'm surprised you didn't see us.
Maybe I'm in Monmouth County. Maybe
okay, yeah. We don't do too much in Monmouth County,
yeah.
But we get a lot of calls from Monmouth County, and sometimes we go down there.
Expand, really, because
we were thinking about it, but you know we're so busy. We do all of Northern. You have Bergen, and you have a lot. We do Southern. No, we do all of Northern and Northern Central. We even go to New Brunswick, North Plainsville, Somerset County, up in Narsville. But you know, we have over 6 trucks, and our trucks are 25 cubic yards. That's what matters. Having big trucks and doing the Tetris mythology.
To be able to fit it.
You want to fit it because you're only paying for the room, and our trucks actually have measurement lines that no other company wants you to see. They don't have it because then you'll know how much money you're spending. And if you look at most junk removal companies' trucks, they only go 4 feet high. Ours is 6 feet high, and you can measure it because we get it fabricated like that. We might go franchise one day, and we're gonna build everything. We're gonna offer all the software and help the people, whoever wants to be especially today, everything's a service industry. There's not too much big industry like there used to be, unless it's pharmaceuticals, technology, metal fabrication or something in that nature. But I mean, we talk to so many people. This is our second season. We haven't talked to anybody in the same type of career. Like, you're the first couple therapists.
Cool.
And I wonder what I can ask you, like, since you're here. I might as well utilize you for my you know what it is with my relationship. And I notice now my wife just had a surgery, lower back surgery. She's doing good. She's walking, everything's good. It was what do you call sciatica? She had to get a disc. I had a stenosis in my neck, and so this was all like work related, because I had once you walked in here, you see in a van, that's a carpet cleaning van. I was doing that for like 15 years with workers and people, and but there was also a lot of movement, and I was moving my neck in a certain way, and I mean, heavy lifting. So anyway, it comes with the territory of just getting the operations. You know, a lot of blue collar workers, they typically get certain you know, they have injuries and stuff in that nature. But I mean, she went through that. But with us, what happened was that surgery took a lot out of her. You know, she's still recuperating. I'm doing a lot more. I have to, you know, I have my mother-in-law helping, but it does put a huge strain. But you know, this is part of life. But I also noticed that once we work too much and we don't spend no time. So what would you recommend? More time?
Definitely. And when you go through like intense situations in your life or traumatic incidents, like couples either grow more together or apart. It's either like we went through this together, we braved through it, we survived and we connected, or we didn't at all and it was not a great experience. So it's important to make sure you're reconnecting during those times. Really important to make sure you still are talking to each other and being there for each other and supporting each other.
Really?
Yeah, because life's hard, right? Like look at what you just went through with these surgeries.
Yeah.
It's tough.
It's tough. It's really tough.
Now you need to plan a really nice date for your wife.
Yeah, well, after we're thinking about, we have to do something. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, definitely. I was going to ask you another question. Have you ever seen couples? I've heard of this also. Like, I don't know if this is like a rumor or I don't know if I've seen it in a movie or something, but there's like certain, I don't know if it's a cultural thing, but there's people that they get married and they've been together for so long and they may hate each other, but they will not separate.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we don't usually see those couples though, because they don't want to, like, sometimes they don't want help.
Yeah, they don't want help. Like, there's something like they're
dependence, reliance. Like humans want relationship. Maybe they're scared. Maybe it's their age that they don't want to separate at that moment. Maybe it's finances. Like finances.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
Point of contention in relationships.
Yes.
Yeah. For sure. So that could be why. But it's sad. I want those couples to come because they can make it better. You don't have to suffer. You don't have to
They're
suffer.
Suffering.
You know?
Yeah. They've been together 30 years, 40 years, and they're just like, I'm going to die with you.
But it's like pain in life is inevitable and suffering is optional. You don't have to suffer. You don't have to.
You don't have to.
You could change how you feel about things. You could there's all kinds of things that you can do.
Yeah, definitely.
Sometimes sitting in the pain though is easier.
What is your main age group that you see?
I would say like 30s to 60. Yeah.
30s and you're saying 30s within like 30s and 60s.
Yeah.
You don't see more 30-year-olds though.
Well, yeah, I mean,
really?
Maybe later 30s, 40s, like, because we see a lot of couples after they have kids, so that's kind of the age, 35.
You're mentioning the kids, so the kids are playing a major part
for sure.
in relationships here. So,
but we also see a lot of couples like empty nesters whose their kids are older. So
so you have the empty nesters, and you have the ones with the ones in the nest.
Yeah. In the nest. Yeah. Yeah, but we also see a lot of blended families, so second marriages.
Okay.
Because that is also extremely difficult. A lot of second marriages end in divorce. We see a lot of, we talked about like infidelity, but we also see individuals who are struggling with relationships.
Oh, we got some questions actually.
Really?
Here.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, let me ask you this question. So this is from Kathy. She's asking, how can couples support each? Oh, I'm reading this wrong. I'm so sorry. It just went out. How can couples support each other when both partners have demanding careers?
Well, that's kind of what you just asked, like with the surgery. So making time for each other.
Making
scheduling. Time. Scheduling is really important. Everyone always laughs at this, but scheduling sex.
This is a huge situation, though, in this country.
Yeah.
Both. If you don't know that, I would say 80% of couples work. Both work.
Sure. Especially these days.
Now, I think it's like 80%, maybe less. But you have both individuals working. So the question is, what do they do? They're working so many hours. Obviously, you have to make time doing something.
Yeah, that's a great question. And it depends on the work schedule, but I would say weekly if it's realistic, bi-weekly if it's unrealistic, taking an hour, 2 hours of time where it's just undivided, positive, and mindful connecting. That's really important.
It is.
Really but mindful is important too, not with a cell phone, not with TV on, not really just sitting, connecting, talking, doing an activity together, going on a hike, taking a cooking class, something, but like that undivided time where you're really connecting, it's important. No matter what it is. And weekly would be great, but that may be unrealistic. So bi-weekly and trying to give yourself grace with that.
Yeah. This one From Stacy, it says, "What advice do you have for couples dealing with financial stress related to their business?"
Oh, another good question. Well, I would say communicate. You have to communicate.
You know what? But communication, I agree with you. You have to communicate. But most relationships fights are financial.
Oh yeah, all the time.
I mean, especially after kids.
But the reason why a lot of couples fight about finances is because of how their beliefs about money. So everyone has different beliefs about money, right? Like depending on how you were raised. Some people were raised where there wasn't a lot of money and there's this like scarcity. They're really scared. They need to make sure they're making enough money. No matter what they have, it'll never be enough because they're really, they live in fear based on their childhood. Other people
that could get a little bit deeper if we want to talk about George Oswell or something. Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like negative beliefs affect us. So like what I said before, everyone's behavior makes sense to them. So it's really trying to figure that out and trying to understand instead of judging, especially when it comes to finances.
Yeah, finances is a huge
but communicating about it, not avoiding it, right? We avoid things all the time. It's just easier to avoid as a human. So we want to not avoid it and go towards it, even if it's scary. Even if it's scary, to have that talk. Like I'm in debt over this business.
But that's complicated.
It's
financial question because
for sure.
You may have. I've seen different circumstances of I heard of different things that I've seen on YouTube or something where a woman is making more money than the man and a man feels some type of way like, well, I should be making this money. And I feel like that's like, come on, dude, she's making money, support her. Unless she's disrespecting you and like, I make more money than you, you better clean the bathrooms. I don't know. I just think like, but if she has no problem with what you're making and what she's making, why not be proud of her? Is there an issue with a woman making more money than a man and them being in a relationship?
Well, I think it also depends on like what I was saying too, with like, what are your beliefs? What are your values? Like, some, like my husband, for example, if I'm making more money, he's like, do it. Like, great, I'll retire. So.
Like, could you get me a vet?
Right. But I think that there are a lot of beliefs and stereotypes and things that go into that. And it's really knowing where you stand.
And I also see this also, like I have friends that they're like their cash or whatever, their checks and their wife checks, they share it like into one. And that's something I don't do because I have my own bills. My wife has her own bills. We both have 2 kids. So we're splitting it anyway. We're both paying our portion of the mortgage, our cars. And but like you have some couples that I don't know, they don't have financially, they argue but they're not saving, they're putting their money together. So they're like, I want mine, and but you guys are using the same bank account. You shouldn't do that then, so you have I feel like the financial thing is very complicated.
But it goes back to that of like talking about it and communicating about it and being transparent and being honest and open. And that builds trust. The more open and honest you are, the more you're going to build trust. So it is a complicated question, but it's, in my opinion, it's also important not to avoid.
I don't know who this is. This is North New Jersey local junk property. How can couples navigate power dynamics when one partner is in a leadership role? I have no clue what that means. How can couples navigate power dynamics when one partner is in a leadership role? So I guess, how can a couple deal with the other? They're talking about like, okay, I see. So like, let's say hypothetically, I'm a leader and my girlfriend or my wife is somebody that works with me and she also has a dynamic of power, but I'm the leader of the company. And how can we deal with the clashing? With this company, with us, I could just say that there's 3 of us and it's democracy pretty much here. We vote and it's not like there's one leader that says this is what we're going to do. Sometimes I wish sometimes it was like that, but I think that you know, to be successful, everybody has to use their skills and contribute. But this is that sort of question. Like there are some men that are very or women, or anybody that's very big egotistical attitudes, where you know they have like the bigger role in the picture. So I don't know how to handle that.
I feel like it's all about talking, because if you're talking about that dynamic and you're talking about what that's going to look like and you're talking about the different personalities, then when it happens, you'll prepare for it because you talked about it. I can't tell you how many couples don't talk about things. Like they're just pushing under the rug. They avoid it. They don't talk about it. And that needs to be discussed. Like, what is that going to look like if I'm in a leadership role and you're not? How am I going to talk to you at work if it has to do with work? Just
you
like
know
in
what?
the home,
You're
it's
right.
the same thing.
You're 100% right, because I do have that situation where before we used to work in this office every day. That's why you see all these screens. We're moving out of here, but we used to all work here together. My wife worked here. I worked back there.
Wow.
John used to work back here, and then sometimes over there. And you know, we used to bicker. You know, when this is a professional environment. So yeah, sometimes we used to bicker about something where we shouldn't be bickering about that. This is more about, you know, our business than our personal thing. So that was something that I had to learn to discontinue and say, like, listen, when we're at work, we're not a couple. We are business partners, and we are colleagues. So, you know, even with John, like John at one time, you know, I was joking around so much and just goofing off. And John told me that, listen, man, I am very busy and I just can't joke with you. And I took it like, what do you mean you can't joke with me? And I just took it so wrong. And I was offended, but I understood afterwards, like, you know, like what he was going through. And it's the same thing, like you just said, you have to communicate. It's a communicational thing, and I believe that's the same thing that we implement here, even with our employees. Communication.
Oh, sure. And partnerships come in all, you know, shapes and sizes, right? Like a couple, right, could also be a partnership in business, a mom and a daughter, like, so all of that, it's all the same, like communicating, and that's really, really important. And a lot of people don't know how to communicate, which is why they come to us, because it's like in a safe environment of learning how to communicate these things with your partner. We get that question a lot. We also get a question of, how do I ask my partner for help, and how do I ask my partner to come to therapy? So we talk about that a lot also.
You know, I wanted to ask you something before, because we're over an hour. What can you tell the people about you? Because this is all about you. Like, how can they find you? Because here, what we do, we put all your information, your email, your phone number, if you want. You know, we advertise you, but you can plug yourself in as much as you want, because this is what this is about, everybody. I mean, we talked about what Brianna does and what she provides. I mean, this is a very critical thing. You know what also helped tremendously, and I'm not gonna lie. I mean, what really helped tremendously with me is that if I did have any type of anxiety or anything, talking to somebody that definitely worked. So, you know, Brianna is a huge thing for somebody, or a huge priority for anybody that's going through something that needs to navigate their issues. If you need, I mean, how would somebody contact you?
So we have a website. It's www.couplestherapyservices.com. We also have a Facebook page, Couples Therapy Services. We also have Instagram at Couples Therapy Services. So it's all the same. And you could call or text 732-656-8398 to schedule an appointment, to get more information. We also have email, info@couplestherapyservices.com. And all that is on our website.
And that's all going to be on here also. I'm sorry.
And we would love to help, and we really, really love to see couples improve their relationships. We are in this for the couples, and that is very important to us. And because of that, we use research-based therapies to help couples improve and stop fighting and start connecting. That's what we do. And we really mean it. Like we're in it. We really want to help.
I was just thinking about these new developments that's going on. Not to go over our time limit, but this is really funny. Like, well, not funny. I don't think it's funny. At first I thought it was funny. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. I was growing up as a young kid. I remember mushrooms and what they do to you, and they were psychedelics. Sure. And now today they're using this stuff called Special not Special K, ketamine. Yeah. They called it Special K when it was illegal, I guess.
Yes.
And I have no experiences with that going through the 90s or 80s. So I didn't go to any of those type of raves or anything like that. I stayed at home and read the Bible. So no, I definitely didn't have experience with Special K, but I know it's a sedative.
Yeah.
For dogs or for horses.
Yeah.
But they're using these things for depression now. They're called microdosing.
Yeah.
And what I'm thinking to myself is, they're using mushrooms, like the chemical in it, which I forget what it's called. It's a hard name for me to pronounce. It starts with a P. But there's a penicillins and something, and there's a certain chemical in that mushroom, and they put it on something, I guess a blotter or some sort of sugar cube, I don't know. And you microdose, and you don't typically trip out or hallucinate, but I mean, do you see more often because you could easily just go online now and just do this, and they will FDA approved it or something? I mean, are you going to implement that into your
on ketamine and all that?
You wouldn't implement that into your therapy?
Well, also I'm not a doctor, so it can't. I don't know.
Because I read about like couples therapies and people going to actual couple therapies in the 70s, and they were being prescribed MDMA.
I believe it.
And I remember reading this. Yeah. I read this and I was like, MDMA, pure MDMA is made from a particular solution from a tree in Malaysia. Now today's ecstasy is a synthetic bunch of research chemicals. Sure. But back then, and I didn't do this stuff at all. I only know about it because I read about it in a encyclopedia. And they would have to cut this tree, and and they were using this for couples therapy. And I mean, people would actually get along, but I guess they cut it. I read the article. They would cut the research because it wasn't effective for a long-term period. Right.
So I can imagine that, like in the moment, maybe in the short term, but it's not really solving anything in the long term.
People would say like, I'm not depressed and all this stuff. And then I started reading articles about the Purdue family and how they introduced OxyContin to the world, and they said this is not an addictive opiate.
Show on.
They have a show also called on Netflix, and that's an amazing show. There's some amazing actors in there, and it's called Pharma or something. But I read more about their legacy and what the father, and it's just amazing because therapies were always introduced with things back. I mean, I'm talking about that hundreds of years ago with all types of stuff like the lauded, and I mean, like they never figured out what to give people. Like even today in psychological therapy, like if a doctor is allowed to prescribe psychological medicines, they do psychotropic medicines, and some of these medicines, their side effects are horrific, and they got to keep on testing this stuff on you. And I never was a big fan of that. Like I never had any they tried that on me, like, well, if you're getting anxiety, because I was worried, like I was like, is something wrong with my heart? What's wrong with me? And then they were like, well, we could prescribe you this certain drug, but it's not a controlled substance. This is a psychotropic. I'm like, what's a psychotropic drug? A narcotic drug? It's not narcotic. And it was like, I guess a Prozac or something. I don't know. But the side effects sounded way worse than anything. So I just said, no, I'm not taking that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a huge believer and implementer of evidence-based treatment. So if something's evidence-based, like I would look at it, research it, but there is evidence-based treatment for panic disorder, and it's called exposure response prevention. And
it's called what?
Exposure response prevention.
Okay.
We don't do that in my practice because we really see couples, but I've seen individuals get better all the time. It's about like leaning into your anxiety and exposing you to it. So
I've read about that. I've heard about that.
So when you use these evidence-based treatments, I mean, it's not medication.
It's like you face the anxiety head on.
Right. Like if you're scared of spiders, you eventually will hold a spider.
Somebody told me about that. They said that look at the wall and stare at one place of the wall. Yeah. And I was just like, what?
Well, so to your point, like these medications and stuff, if there's research supporting them, then that's great. But I don't know how much. I know ketamine is being prescribed more.
Oh, this is the same question. Yeah, so I mean, it was a great, no, that's not a question. This was have questions for, okay. Yeah, I mean, this was great. We've gone over an hour, some change, but I mean, that's what we always do that on this, on here. We talk to everybody and we get into the conversation. I'm really like into this conversation.
Yeah.
I like what you do.
Thank you.
I feel like we need more people like you. I wish that there was places like, you know how we have fast food centers or liquor stores, we have access to all this stuff.
Yeah.
But it's like, it would be great to have access to like a place where I could just walk into your place and there was booths or something where you could walk into and speak to somebody.
That's
we don't have stuff like that. Like, it's like common sense. Like we need health here.
Sure.
We need mental health fast. It's more of a priority than I believe in a lot of things. People are losing their lives, and you know what? Law enforcement are not trained 100% on how to deal with a mental health person. If they have a knife or some type of object that could hurt somebody, they would have to put them down. And the mental health crisis has gone severely up in this country because of inflation, because of opium addictions, or what do they call it? Opioids. Synthetic stuff that comes from places like China. And I'm not saying just from China, but most of the fentanyl I've read comes from China and goes to Mexico. And, I mean, but anyway, I mean, America has turned into a self-medicating place where people are not getting the mental health. I mean, you would think back in the 90s, there were pill mills everywhere in Florida, Tennessee. Like if you would go down south, but you could open up a pill mill and say, go to a doctor. Oh, I got a backache, get a pain. But you can't go nowhere and say, hey, listen, I'm hearing things, or I feel so depressed. My anxiety, I can't sleep. I haven't slept in a week. I have insomnia.
Oh, gosh.
You can't get nobody. You can't get nobody. So you suffer. You deal with it.
Sad.
It is sad. It's sad. And then you have people like you that you can talk to. You're a couples therapist. But have you ever thought about going out the realms of that and speaking about other things? Because you did bring up anxiety. You did bring up other.
I mean,
I'm not trained. Allowed to?
No, for sure. And I'm trained in a lot of different things, like for trauma and DBT. I'm intensively trained in those.
What is DBT?
So it's dialectical behavior therapy, and it's a type of treatment that was created for clients who have trouble regulating emotions. So a lot of times they are suicidal or self-harming. But I'm like as a therapist, like a stay in your lane kind of person.
I see.
And I feel like if you're an expert, be an expert.
Okay.
And I want to be an expert in couples therapy.
I like that.
We see a lot of couples who have OCD, let's say.
Okay.
And I have great clinicians.
And so you would recommend
practice, right? That we refer to.
That remember that you will get a recommendation. So if you I have say you have a child with behavior problems, you would have a recommendation for that.
I know play therapists.
Just gonna ask you that, like, what if you have these great skills? Have you ever thought about starting a operation where or whatever where you would help children with, behavior issues and speak to them once a week or whatever the case may be. But like you just mentioned, you are stay in your lane type of person. You master what you know.
Our expertise, right? And all my therapists also do couples therapy. Like they're trained in all of these couples therapies. We do have like colleagues who are trained in evidence-based treatments for children, like play therapy and art therapy. So we have an extensive referral list where we refer out for those things because we want everyone to get better. Like, and if they're in, like, if a child is being seen using play therapy, we know the research on that these children will improve, and that's what it's about.
That's what I can't wait. I can't wait to see more, just like private entities where you could just bring your anybody that has any issue. I wish there was a place where you just walk right in. Like,
I feel like some urgent cares are starting to do that, like having a mental health component.
I haven't seen that. You just read my mind, because I was just going to say, you have all these urgent care places. Like, why isn't there not a psychological urgent care? And
I hope that they have good therapists there that like are really trained, because it's important. So when I did DBT for a long time, like we would see a lot of clients that would come and they saw other therapists and it didn't work because what they were suffering with, they weren't using the right treatment. So that's also why I come from this place of like specialized, because then you see improvement. So I hope these places like that are urgent cares that are doing mental health also really specialize and help and do good in the world, because that's what this is all about.
Are you originally from New Jersey?
Yes, Ocean Township.
Ocean Township?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So I'm a Morris County. I grew up in Morris County.
Okay.
And I grew up half in Staten Island and New Jersey, but now I've been in New Jersey longer. But you know what I noticed about New Jersey?
What?
It's just behind. And you would think we're really
progressive. You would think we're progressive.
We're not.
Oh my gosh.
We're not. It's very, very, if you look at how segregated we are and how things are ran here, I mean, like, it is just out of control. Like Chris Christie started this thing where you could track, medications and all, and that's great. But he puts stresses on doctors where they can't help certain patients that need certain things.
Limitations.
I mean, New Jersey has turned into, I don't know what it is. I be honest, this $54 billion budget passed last year.
Wow.
And for what? I don't know what. I mean, the school systems are still the same. But we're not going to get into the politics of things. But I mean, I can't wait till Phil Murphy's out of here. I'm not saying we need a Republican. I'm just saying we need young and people with innovative thoughts and common sense, and all we see is what we pay for is drama. Like we have to watch Donald Trump all over again, and the big trials, and this is not what we're paying for. But it's like kind of like a distraction from what you're doing, helping people and people with mental health problems. If you look at San Francisco and all these West Coast areas that are going through this homeless crisis situation.
Oh yeah. New York City. I mean,
New York City's going through it too.
I was in New York City a couple weeks ago in Midtown. Oh, it was really scary.
Really? A lot of tents and stuff up?
Oh, not tents, but a lot of homeless people on the street. It was sad.
And in New York cleaned up in the 90s. I remember when Giuliani became mayor. Not to say that his methodology was a good methodology, but he called it the broken window syndrome, which if you don't arrest a person that broke the window because it's a small crime, then you're going to let anything go. So he said, even if they break a window, they must be arrested. So that meant, like, even you find a small little bit of marijuana, arrest them. So that cleaned up New York very rapidly. They shut down the mafia, everything. And New York was like Disney World, because 42nd Street was a mess. Now it's now it's starting to revert back. But it's mental illness that's doing this.
And there's not enough resources. And
what do you mean? Like, we just passed $54 billion.
Well, I don't make it, but I just think that I don't know.
Yeah, you're right. They don't get the resources to the right places.
There's not enough resources. It's maybe, I don't know, but why are all these people like struggling so much? I don't get it.
Well, $54 billion is like the size of a deficit of some countries like Haiti.
I don't know.
And I was like trying to figure out, like, okay, my property tax, like I own a business. I looked at this. Every dollar that I make, I get taxed like 3 times on the same dollar.
Small business owners get hit the worst, which is crazy.
But we shouldn't. No. And I'm going to tell you something.
It's unreal.
There's
Unreal.
multi-billionaires and millionaires that told us, and even Donald Trump told us this. He said, "Why are you using your own money? You could use the bank's money. If you save up enough capital, you could go to the bank and say, listen, I have this so much capital. It's all legal. You saved it up. I want to take a loan out. Say you have $150,000 saved up. I want to take out a loan for $50,000. That loan is untaxable, so that's yours. You could spend it. You'll get taxed on sales tax, but now you use that. You need to pay back that debt. So your capital, you take out your capital and you pay back that debt with your capital. No taxes on that either.
Yeah.
Because paying back debt, you don't pay no taxes.
Interesting.
And that's why a lot of Jeff Bezos and a lot of big they say, I don't use Warren Buffett. I don't use my own money. I use the bank's money because the type of loans they get are such low interest loans. It's cheaper to pay the interest rate than the actual rate of the taxes.
Yeah.
If they had to pay tax rates at what they make, they would be spending billions of dollars. They'll take half of what they make.
Yeah.
Because I know what they took from me, and it was like I was shocked. I was like, wait, don't they understand that I have to pay for workers' comp? Like, if you look at small businesses, because that's what we're talking about, right? Entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
If they take a deep look at us, we're the biggest thing going on right now. There's big companies that are shutting down. Like, we're not a big manufacturing industry like we used to be. Now we're small businesses and service industry. They hired over 27,000 new IRS members with guns now because there's more places that they're going to have to audit because it's not big manufacturing like it used to. They're going to have to look at small businesses, audit small businesses.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. So they go after the small business, they go after what they make, and they take so much money from the middle class businesses.
Yeah.
That is like we're the ones that are really holding up the country.
Oh my gosh, yeah. It's actually unbelievable, and I never knew that.
Yeah, it's really crazy. I didn't know, but what I want to know is like you spend all this money on insurance, workers' comp, all these things, but the government doesn't look at all your overhead, and then they still keep on like taking this money from you, and then you have to raise your prices, and then your customers suffer from it. They think they have to tax people that make a certain amount of money instead of them lowering interest rates and lowering this so you could hire more people, and then giving people that are immigrants that vent them and see who has the skills to build whatever and do things and give them a permit, because I know plenty of people here that are illegal that have licenses to drive cars. So why are you giving them licenses to drive cars but you're not giving them a work permit to work? What is that license? They want to drive a car now, so they have to buy. So what do you think they're doing? They're working, but they're not paying no taxes because you're not giving them a tax ID number or anything. But not the vet, but that's what's going on. They're really making things very difficult on us, and
not cool.
Small businesses and entrepreneurs, we're onto that, and we understand what's going on, and I just hope people really realize that like you have a ton of states that provide licensing, but let's provide some working permits, and whoever's they're here 5 years, no criminal record, you're working, you're American. That's how America was built, by us immigrants. We didn't, our grandparents and great grandparents came here and built stuff, and that's just how it goes. And I don't know how we went onto that topic, but it's great to talk to somebody about therapy. And
thank you for having me.
It was wonderful.
You're really nice to talk to.
Yeah, it's definitely, we'll stay in touch, and and I'll keep you posted if I know anybody needs any therapy.
Yes, please do.
Give us a call if you know of anybody that needs junk removal.
Absolutely.
And we'll stay in touch.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much for everybody that watched the show or might watch the show later on. This is Brianna
Brunner.
Brunner, and this is Mastering Leadership for Entrepreneurs, and the name of your company is
Couples Therapy Services.
Couple Therapy Services, and you will be able to find all her information on our podcast information, and You never know when you need any sort of help. And one more question before I go.
Yeah.
Have you ever gotten one person to come just see you to talk about their relationship?
Oh yeah, we see individuals also.
Really?
But we specialize with relationships. So dating or problems in a relationship, sure, we do. Yes.
Wow.
Often.
That's
Going through
really,
divorce, one of the partners.
That's really cool. Well, this has been a great one. This is the first therapy, and thank you so much, and have a pleasant day. And thank you for everybody. This is Christopher with entrepreneurs and small business owners of owners of New Jersey with Junk Doctors NJ. I messed up, sorry, but yeah, I'm a little nervous, but yeah, this has been a great show, and please tune in and watch us. And if you want to participate, feel free to contact us. You know where to find us. Have a great day. Thank you. Yeah, that was really cool. Like how many people really need